answering your questions about retirement. It's Money Talk with Michael Eastham.
I invested some of my IRA money into an ownership interest in a real estate LLC with rental property. This was all done in a self-directed IRA. The LLC is no longer active, but the property never got sold, and I can't find the general partner. I keep getting fees charged by the IRA company. What can I do?
Well, self-directed IRAs sound great in theory, and in some cases they can be very, very good, but they can also be a little bit more complicated. Because one of the things that most people don't realize is that in order for you to operate a self-directed IRA with assets like real estate investments or other types of precious metals or things like that, is that you have to hire a third-party administrator. That TPA is an organization that's separate from you, and their sole job is to make sure that your IRA complies with the IRS guidelines and that you're not doing anything funny to try to evade taxes. Now, what happens in a case like this where the value of the investment is actually gone to zero? It sounds like in this particular case, it went bust basically. Well, you have to reach out. It's all on you. You've got to reach out to the third-party administrator, find out what their process is for marking the value of that asset down to zero. Most likely, they're going to have a couple of forms that you need to fill out and sign yourself and possibly get notarized so that you can resubmit it back to them and they can keep that document on file showing that the value of the investment is zero. Now, they may ask you to have an appraisal. Well, how can you have an appraisal on a property that doesn't exist or an investment that doesn't exist? That's why these forms are so important. So you might get a little pushback from the TPA, but they should have documents that allow you to have it written down based on an affidavit, a sworn affidavit that you can have provided to them so that they can cross the T's and they can dot the I's. You want to make sure that you do the same thing on your part, because if you don't, then this could be a real problem, especially when it comes time for required minimum distributions or RMDs. They're going to have a value that you put on that investment at some point in the past. And if you don't give them an additional value or a change in the value, then they're going to maintain that same value. If the value is zero, and it shows $100,000, well, guess what? They're going to report a value of $100,000 to the IRS, and your RMD is going to be based on that $100,000. That can open up a totally different and complex can of worms if you don't nip it in the bud. So be proactive, close the loop, and make sure that if you have a self-directed IRA with an asset with no value in it or a substantially reduced value, that you get that taken care of before it becomes a real problem. Once you close it out, then all of those fees should stop and you should be in much better shape. I'd also encourage you to see if you can get some of the more recent fees waived, because most TPAs will be accommodating in a situation like this as well. Thanks for that question. Make sure that you like and subscribe so that you get updated content every week.